I'm with Henry Wuga, MBE. Henry, it's such a pleasure to be here with you. And you and I have been discussing for the last hour or so your incredible story. And I don't necessarily want you to talk in as much detail as we have done, but of the story that you've just shared with me, and I know that you go around schools sharing it with young children, what would be the one episode in that story that you would like to share with viewers on this short video?
Well, having to leave, being driven out of your country and going on a train on the Kindertransport, being put on a train by your parents, not knowing whether you would ever see them again, leaving the country, being driven out of the country, and fortunate finding somewhere to go. That was the important thing. Nobody would let you in these days. So the train journey was traumatic. I could cope with it. I had been away from home as a 14-year-old for 6 months. But this train was full of young children who had never been away from their mum or dad before. Can you imagine an 8 or 7-year-old being handed into a train with other screaming children, waving goodbye to their parents? It was absolutely horrendous. It was a terrible journey. Until, I must say, until we got to the Dutch frontier, when the Nazi guys left the train and we crossed the frontier into a free country, even the youngest children felt the lifting of this oppression that we had suffered.
But as you said earlier on when we were talking, that was only the very beginning of your story, and I've had the joy of hearing what happened after the Nazi guards left, and we'll leave that for viewers to read in the book. But you've gained so much wisdom as a consequence of the traumas and the challenges that you faced, and we spoke earlier on as well about what wisdom you might share, and I know you don't see it necessarily as wisdom, that's my word instead of yours, but can you tell the viewers what would be the hard-won wisdom, the hard-won advice that you might share with them?
It is easy for me to say, be positive, but when you're traumatized, or you have a bad love story, or a bad employment story, it gets you down, it sinks you very low, you become despondent. Step back a little, go out into the sunshine for an hour, think of something else, just to try and relieve the pressure, because if it takes you over, you won't get rid of the depression. So it is important to step back a little and relax. I know it's so easy to say when you're in a state like that, but please try and do that. I know I've mentioned step in the sunshine for an hour, just step in the garden for an hour, see some greenery, go back and see what it looks like.
Yeah, so when I hear you say that, I think about stepping into the sunshine and being in the present moment, instead of being in your head and in the worries and the drama and the terror that you feel, instead being in the garden, being in the sunshine. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely. Literally look at the greenery, look at the trees, look at nature. It's bound to help you. It always helped me.
And what else would you say? We spoke a lot about some of the hate that people who you met on your journey felt, and certainly you encountered that as a young Jewish boy in Nuremberg. So what would you say, what advice or hard-won wisdom would you share about that?
Hatred, particularly religious hatred, can undermine you completely. You have to face it, you have to stand up to it, you have to not lie down to it, you have to stand your case. I am Jewish and so it will be. I'm not going to change my religion to suit you. You have to be positive about it. It's hard, it's very hard, but you have to do it. Don't let them get over you. Don't let them take you over.
And for those that, I know when you speak to young children in school, you talk to them about what they should do if they start to believe that they hate someone in their class or someone in their year. What advice do you give them?
Again, I give the advice, step back for an hour, just think of something else. Don't forget about that person for an hour. See if a little fresh air, a little sunshine can help you get over that. Because if this hate takes you over, it will eat you up in the end and make everything negative. And this is, you want to avoid that at all costs.
Because hate destroys the person who feels the hate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And after all, we're all human. You know, hopefully that there's something in that person that you think you hate to find compassion for, or...
It's a human being like you.
Yeah.
He's got friends, he's got parents, he's got a life to lead. So think of that. Try and cope with it the best you can.
And we shared, or you shared with me, a story about how it felt to hear a question you had asked being asked at question time when you were in the internment camp, and how that made you feel. And that aligned with a purpose, having a focus and an objective in your life, how that helped you at the time. Do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yes, I particularly, from the internment camp, we had a letter a week. I had no brothers or sisters to write to. My letters were used to write to the government, to write to our MP, to write to Eleanor Rathbone, to complain, why are we behind barbed wire? You should let us out, we have to fight Hitler. If we stay behind barbed wire and we lose, heaven forbid, we lose the war, we're here ready for the taking. Please accept to let us out and help you to fight and win this war. And that gave us a purpose. I mean, to be a prisoner behind a barbed wire camp, a complete and utter prisoner of the British government, but then to hear your complaint read out in the Houses of Parliament at question time gave us a feeling of this is a proper democratic country. Wouldn't happen in many other countries. So that gave us hope.
And what did that sense of hope and that sense of purpose, how did that help you survive all of the things that were going on? How important was it?
Very important, absolutely important. All of a sudden you have a purpose, you're being listened to, even as just one single person in a prison camp. But somebody is listening to and hopefully will act on it. And they did. And we won the war, and that helped us.
What I'm hearing, Henry, when you say that, is that for those who are facing trauma or challenge, if they have a sense of hope and a sense of purpose, that will help them.
Absolutely, a sense of purpose. Whatever you're doing, it can be a menial job, but if you think that is necessary to help clean up the beach, it gives you a purpose. That is important, and that gives you a status and hope to get on with it.
Henry, it's been a joy meeting you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.